Hey guys, so today I thought we'd talk about lockpicks. So this is going to be kind of more of a basic breakdown of how to identify what makes a good lockpick, the different brands that are out there that I would recommend, and some of the basic ideas of how different profiles work and what their uses would be. Now, first off, we'll start with the one you'll use the most, which is a hook. So here's a medium depth hook from Bare Bones. They're based out of Australia. You'll have a stainless steel shaft, and your handle here is a 3D printed resin. Kind of, I would say, on the more affordable side for a lockpick. Finish is not super high gloss like a Maki pick, but not as rough as, say, a multi-pick. Kind of somewhere in the middle there. I have seen issues with the handles cracking, but I find that's only if you leave them in kind of like out in the sun, or if you're in a hot vehicle all the time. That's where I kind of seen that go down. But if they're going to be sitting on your desk in a more controlled environment, should be just fine. And like I said, kind of middle of the road for affordability. They're not the cheapest, not the most expensive. If you start getting their fancy handles, oh yes, it does go up. Jimmy Longs, kind of similar idea. It's a resin handle, stainless steel. The tip is super durable. This tapered kind of effect on the shaft here. It's quite nice. Works really well. He's got quite the array of sizes for your thickness. Now, it's something to note. You have two main thicknesses you'll find. Let me see here if I've got two. Yeah, okay. It'll be hard to tell in the video, but when you're looking from this side of the pick, Jimmy has a 19 thou and a 23 thou. And so the difference is when you have a really thin keyway on something like maybe a Sargent, like this one here. So this Sargent has a fairly narrow keyway, and you'll find with something like a 19 thou, it's much easier to navigate through the keyway with a thinner pick. So just something to keep in mind, that depending on what you're picking, you may want a thinner lock pick. Now, Maki handles are, this one's actually made by Hazard there. He knows who makes some pretty sick handles. Maki makes the picks. The picks come from Germany. These handles are from New West in Canada here. Very, very high gloss finish, very polished finish. They almost glide through the keyway. I really, really, really enjoy these. They're quite a bit more pricey than pretty much anything else on the table. The multi-pick is still quite expensive, but as far as I find these to be the most comfortable picks I own. The high gloss might not be for you if you're used to something like a Sparrows or a multi-pick. They are you can tell the high polish definitely changes the feeling in the lock. You might find yourself slipping off of the pins for the first little bit. Now, my multi-pick, this is what I usually carry in my kit as a locksmith. Now, it's not necessarily that they're my favorite picks. They just look very professional. So for a professional setting as like a locksmith, you can't go wrong with something like that. They feel nice in your hand. They are a little thin. I've seen people use heat shrink on them to thicken up the handles. I got some here that I just use hockey tape, and that seems to do the trick for me. Now, they are pricey. Multi-pick is not cheap, not even close. These are some of the most expensive picks for what they are. Now, they are good. I will say, they are very, very good. Are they worth what they're charging for them? I don't know. I mean, if you're in Europe or you have a good source in the States, and you're not paying too much on shipping, sure, then I guess they could be a decent choice. Like I said, just for me, it's just because of how they look. I like to have them for at work. Now, you're not going to use these as much in lock sport, but you do have your rakes. So this is our Reaper snake rake. And some people call it a worm because the tip kind of looks like a little worm. These are generally used more for quick lockouts when you're trying to maybe get into like a mailbox lock, or open up a more common residential keyway. They come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Here's one from Maki, you know, a bit longer. I don't think I have many others kicking around right now. It's not something I do too often. Here's the same profile from Bare Bones with their handle, not ours. And then I think that's about it for what I have for rakes. Another super popular choice is the half diamond. So this is actually a single bow top from Multi-Pick, but very similar to a half diamond. And they all come in different sizes, different peaks. Some that are a little taller than others, you know. Really good for navigating the keyway, figuring out how many pins you have. You can kind of use them kind of like a flag, and you can kind of also use them to normal single pin pick. And what I mean by a flag is this here. So this is for dimple locks. So this is a multi-pick dimple pick with a flag. So you can see how these are very, very similar. So, and you could technically single pin pick with a flag too, I guess. It's not something I would do, but you definitely could. And you can see how the half diamond is very similar in that regard, and why you can use this. So you can, like I like using a half diamond for picking the check pin on the Slage Everest. Now when it comes to tension wrenches, you have a couple different styles, and it depends where in the lock you're placing your tension wrench. So this is from Multi-Picks. This is it's almost just like a wiper insert. It's for bottom of the keyway tension. So you would use this, I'll give you an idea so you understand what it looks like. You can put it in the bottom of the keyway. Maybe if you have you don't want to go in too far, maybe there's some check pins or some key control pins. You can use the short side, or you've got the long side if you want to have a little more tension. Maybe some extra pick support in there too. So I'll go in the bottom like so, or maybe on the other side, depending which way you want to rotate it. Okay. And they come in different styles. So that's like just a straight one. This one's got a little twist in it so that you can, when you place it in, you're pushing down on more of this piece here. They're a little springy. They do have their uses. I find they're a little better for raking. Maybe, you know, if you've got the room, maybe if you've got, want the little extra bit of support for single pin picking, you could use it there too. Maybe if you don't have a lot of room to move in the top of the keyway. And then you have your top of the keyway tension wrench. So this one's from Bare Bones. I don't notice a whole lot of a difference between the Maki ones or Bare Bones or Multi-Pick. They're all very similar. So that's going to go in the top of the keyway like that. And they usually have a bigger side and a smaller side, so that you can get a little meat in there or more, depending how much room you really need. So that's a Bare Bones. You can see the Maki one is a good bit longer than the Bare Bones, quite a bit longer. You would have more leverage with the Maki one. It really comes down to what you like to feel in your hand. And they come in different thicknesses as well. So the one I have here in my hand is a 1 millimeter. And Maki also has here the 1.2 and an 8 millimeter. So it just depends on how much room you really need, how thick the top of the keyway is. So like right here, the 0.8 would be that'd be too small. Can we get the 1.2 in here? Yep. And this would be probably a little too small too. So in this instance with the ASA, you might want to go to the larger tension wrench. Now, in addition to that, we also have, these are traditionally used in dimples. These are dimple tension wrenches. And that's these guys way down here. Now these are from Bare Bones. They come in our Reaper kit. And so they go in kind of like this. And that's so you can tension a dimple lock. It gives you more room for your flag. And then Multi-Pick has theirs as well. I do like the Multi-Pick ones. They do feel nice in your hand. They're a little longer, a little bigger. I don't really have a preference one over the other. It really depends on what lock I'm picking at the time. So anyways, that's brief breakdown. As far as what I would choose, it really depends on what I'm doing, guys, and my budget. Now, I really do like the bare bones. I'm a little kind of partial to them because we do have our own exclusive picks through them, right? So, I mean, here's our Reaper kit, the snake rake, half diamond, and hook. So I am a little partial there, but the Jimmy picks, these are amazing. You really can't go wrong. If you're just wanting a really half decent pick and you don't have a whole lot of a budget, this is the best pick on the table for sure. If you want to blow, you know, you're trying to blow the bank and you got tons of cash to spend, yeah, okay, get the multi-pick if you're really crazy about it. Like I said, they do look nice. And if you're kind of in between that, you know, you can't go wrong with a Maki pick. Personally, these are my favorite. They feel just so unreal. They're so comfortable. This extra length on the end just really makes them that much better. And then having the screws here, the bolts, it's like a little index for your fingers. It's really easy to grab onto. You know, Jimmy's kind of got the same idea here. It's a little too far back for me. You know, it's nice, but I wish it was like up here because that's where I like to hold the pick personally. That's why we did that on ours, because you can see the bare bones. He had his at the back on the end. I like mine right up here. So you're really indexed and you know where you're feeling. And that's why I like these so much too, is that it's just like that, but I know I'm holding on to metal. And I find you get a little more feedback through the bolt. So I really can feel what I'm touching onto. That's the only issue I had with doing this with the hockey tape or the shrink wrap, is it kind of deadens the feeling a little bit, in my opinion. That's what I kind of noticed from it. So yeah. Anyways, guys, that's some lockpick basics for you. Gives you the idea of what to look for. You're looking for strength. Like, I can show you too. So on the Jimmy pick, you can see how it's got a tapered end, and then the bare bones has this kind of like step down kind of deal. And then on the multi pick, it's just like straight shaft. And I found with these, if these snap, they'll snap in around here like every time. This is a major weak point. These I haven't had the blade snap yet. It's just been the plastic. And as far as Jimmy picks go, I don't have this break ever. The only thing that ever happens for me is the tip right around here will bend, and that's just me being way too rough with my picks. Now, since the Maki pick and the Jimmy pick are so similar in style with that taper, I would imagine these would hold up the same way as the Jimmys. I have not owned the Maki picks long enough to bend any or break any. So, and just remember, that's going to happen. They are lock picks. You're going to break them. That's just how it goes. So don't get too attached. If you got like a nice rat yoke, then maybe put it on a shelf or get really feather hands. So anyways, guys, that's some basics. Like I said, there's more to it. You know, you start getting into some very specialized picks like disc detainers or lever locks or pump locks and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot more out there, but this should get you going. Just stick away from the spare